Admiral James Walker stood at the wide viewport of Proxima Station, hands clasped behind his back. The stars looked cold and distant, just like hope these days. "Sir, the latest battle reports," said Officer Tom Davis, offering a data tablet. Walker took it without a word. The screen showed what he already knew. 3 more Alliance ships lost, 1 colony outpost destroyed, thousands of lives gone. The Vex Dominion was pushing forward, system by system, and the Galactic Alliance was failing to stop them. "Thank you, Davis," Walker said. His voice sounded tired even to his own ears. Walker was an old soldier. At 65, he had seen more battles than most. His gray hair was cut short, and his blue uniform carried many medals. But no medal could help them now against the Vex. As Davis left, Walker returned to his desk and opened a hidden drawer. Inside was a small, worn book, a real paper book, not a digital one. It was his collection of stories, reports, and rumors, all about one thing: a ship called the Phantom. Walker had started collecting these stories 30 years ago. A hobby, he told himself. But maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was hope. He flipped through the pages, stopping at a sketch of a warship unlike any in the current fleet. The design was strange, all curves and angles that shouldn't work together but somehow did. Notes in the margins described impossible features: weapons that could disable rather than destroy, shields that absorbed energy, engines that bent space itself. "Still chasing ghosts, James?" Walker looked up. Fleet Commander Helen Ross stood in his doorway. Her dark skin contrasted with her silver-white hair, both showing her age and authority. "Just reviewing old notes," Walker said, closing the book. Helen walked in and sat across from him. "The council meeting starts in 10 minutes. They want options." Walker laughed without humor. "Options? We're out of options, Helen. The Vex have better ships, better weapons, and more of both. So tell me about your ghost ship again," Helen said. She didn't believe in the Phantom either, but she knew Walker needed to talk. Walker sighed. "The story goes that during the First Contact War, an engineer named Marcus Reed designed a ship unlike anything we'd ever seen. A ship that could appear out of nowhere, strike, and vanish again. And this engineer, Reed, disappeared with his creation after testing. Some say he died. Others say he took the ship and hid it somewhere, waiting for a time when it would be truly needed." Helen raised an eyebrow. "Like now?" "Yes," Walker admitted. "Like now. James, these are just stories. Propaganda from the early days of space travel. Something to give people hope when we first met aliens who were stronger than us." Walker nodded. "Probably." The station alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. "Proximity alert. Vex fleet detected at the edge of the system." The announcer's voice was controlled but urgent. Walker and Helen rushed to the command center. The large screen showed 50 Vex warships entering the Proxima system. The Alliance had only 15 ships to defend it. "Time to arrival?" Walker asked. 3 hours, sir," replied the tactical officer. "Order all civilian ships to evacuate. Send a message to Earth. We need reinforcements." "Sir, Earth Command says all available ships are defending the inner colonies. We're on our own." Walker looked at the tactical display. Proxima Station was the last major outpost before Earth itself. If it fell, the path to humanity's homeworld would be wide open. "Then we make our stand here," Walker said. "Alert all ships. Battle stations." The next 3 hours passed in a blur of preparations. Weapons were checked, shields reinforced, and battle plans made. But everyone knew the truth. They couldn't win this fight. The best they could hope for was to slow the Vex down, maybe damage enough of their ships to make them think twice about pushing toward Earth right away. As the Vex fleet approached, Walker addressed the station and all Alliance ships. "Men and women of the Alliance, today we face overwhelming odds. We fight not just for ourselves, but for our homes, our families, and our future. Each minute we hold the line gives our people more time to prepare. Fight well. Fight with honor. That is all. The Vex attacked without warning or demands. Their ships moved in perfect formation, purple energy beams slicing through space. The battle was brutal and quick. Alliance ships fought bravely, but they were outmatched. One by one, they fell or retreated with heavy damage. From the command center, Walker watched as Proxima Station's shields weakened under repeated hits. "Sir, shield strength at 30% and falling," reported a young officer, fear clear in her voice. "Reroute power from non-essential systems," Walker ordered. A massive explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered. Engineering reports direct hit. Sections 12 through 15 are exposed to space. Emergency bulkheads activated. Helen grabbed Walker's arm. "James, we need to order the evacuation." Walker looked at the battle display once more. 10 Alliance ships destroyed or disabled. The rest were in retreat. The station wouldn't last much longer. "You're right. Send the order. All personnel to evacuation pods. Set the station's reactor to overload after evacuation is complete." As officers rushed to carry out his orders, Walker returned to his office. Alarms blared and people ran past his door. He opened the drawer and took out his book of stories about the Phantom. For a moment, he considered leaving it behind. What good were myths now? But something made him tuck it into his uniform pocket. "Admiral, we need to go now," Helen called from the doorway. Together they rushed to the escape pods. As Walker's pod launched, he looked back at Proxima Station through the small viewport. The massive structure, home to 10,000 people just hours ago, was now mostly evacuated, but burning in several sections. The pod's communication system crackled. All personnel clear. Station reactor overload in 10 seconds. Walker watched as Proxima Station, the Alliance's proud forward base, exploded in a blinding flash. The blast took 3 Vex ships with it, but the rest continued their advance. As the escape pod set course for Earth, Walker took out his book of Phantom stories. In the dim emergency lighting, he flipped to the last page, where he had written his own edition years ago. "If the Phantom is real, we will need it when all other hope is lost." Walker closed the book slowly. "Well," he whispered to himself, "all other hope is now lost." Little did he know that something impossible was about to happen. Captain Lisa Thompson hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her ship, the Alliance frigate Defiant, was one of the few vessels that had escaped the disaster at Proxima Station. Now they were running on minimal power, hiding in the dust cloud of an asteroid belt between Mars and Earth. "Status report," she ordered, her voice rough from too much coffee and too little rest. "Shields at 40%. Weapons at 65%. Engines need 6 more hours for repairs," replied First Officer Jack Wilson. His uniform was dirty and torn at one sleeve. There had been no time to change since the battle. Lisa nodded. 6 hours might as well be 6 years. The Vex fleet would reach Earth's orbit in less than 5. And the crew? "Tired but holding together, Captain. No one's given up yet." Lisa looked around the bridge of the Defiant. The ship was small compared to most Alliance vessels, a fast frigate designed for scouting and hit-and-run attacks. Not a frontline battleship. But frontline battleships were in short supply these days. "Captain," Communications Officer Ben Miller called out suddenly, "I'm picking up strange transmissions." Lisa walked to his station. "Vex Communications." "No, ma'am. It's not matching any Alliance patterns either." Ben adjusted his headset. I've never seen code like this before. Could it be civilian emergency signals?" "Negative. The encryption is too complex." And Ben paused, listening intently. "It's not coming from Earth direction. It's coming from deep space, beyond Pluto's orbit." Lisa frowned. "Send it to Science Officer Morgan. See if he can make anything of it." In the small science lab of the Defiant, Alex Morgan was already working when the strange signal data arrived. The young officer had been searching through old Alliance databases, looking for anything: weapon designs, shield configurations, battle tactics that might give them an edge against the Vex. When the signal appeared on his screen, Alex immediately noticed something odd. The pattern seemed familiar somehow, though he couldn't place it. On a hunch, he ran it through a very old decryption program, one that dated back to the First Contact War, nearly 70 years ago. The computer chimed. Partial match found. Alex's eyes widened as he read the decoded fragments. Project Phantom. Active. Returning. Captain to the science lab. Immediately. Alex called over the ship's comm. When Lisa arrived, Alex showed her what he had found. Project Phantom. Lisa read. What is this, Morgan? I'm not entirely sure, Captain. But look at this. Alex pulled up another file on his screen. An old technical document with a security classification he shouldn't have been able to access. I found this buried in the archive data we retrieved before Proxima Station fell. It mentions a prototype ship designed by someone named Marcus Reed. Lisa leaned closer. The Phantom Project. Experimental quantum displacement drive. Test phase successful but unstable. She looked at Alex. This reads like science fiction, not military tech. That's what I thought too, Captain. But then this transmission came in using encryption patterns matched to this project. Are you saying? The ship's alarm cut her off. Captain to the bridge. Vex scouts detected. Back on the bridge, the tactical display showed 3 Vex scout ships moving through the asteroid belt, searching methodically. They're looking for survivors, Jack said. Power down everything but life support and sensors, Lisa ordered. Maybe they'll pass us by. The ship went dark. For tense minutes, everyone held their breath as the Vex scouts moved closer. One passed within kilometers of their position. Then, miraculously, the scouts changed course and moved away. They're heading back to the main fleet, Ben reported with relief. Power up, but keep it minimal, Lisa ordered. Miller, can you still track that strange transmission? Yes, Captain. It's still coming in. Send current coordinates to my ready room. Wilson, you have the bridge. In her small office, Lisa studied the star map showing the transmission's origin. It was coming from the outer reaches of the solar system, but moving inward. Fast. Her door chimed. Enter. Commodore William Baker stepped in. The older man had been aboard a different ship during the Proxima battle, but had transferred to the Defiant when his own vessel was too damaged to continue. As the highest-ranking survivor, he was now technically in command of all remaining Alliance forces. Captain Thompson, he said formally, your communications officer tells me you're tracking an unusual signal. Yes, sir. Science Officer Morgan believes it might be related to something called Project Phantom. Baker's face changed. The Phantom. That's impossible. Sir. Baker sat down heavily. I knew Marcus Reed. We served together in the early days, before he went into weapons research. Then the Phantom is real? Lisa asked, surprised. It was real. A prototype ship with technology decades ahead of anything else we had. Reed claimed it could phase in and out of normal space, making it practically invisible to sensors and able to appear anywhere instantly. That would be a huge tactical advantage against the Vex, Lisa said. It would be, if it worked. The ship disappeared during its final test run. Reed and his entire crew with it. That was 60 years ago. Lisa pointed to the moving signal on her screen. Then how do you explain this? Baker stared at the display. I can't. But if by some miracle, it is the Phantom returning. It's still just one ship against a Vex fleet. One legendary ship, Lisa corrected. Sir, we need to rendezvous with whatever is sending that signal. Baker considered for a long moment. The Defiant is fast, but you'd need to leave immediately to intercept. That would mean abandoning Earth's defense. With respect, sir, 15 damaged Alliance ships won't make a difference against the Vex fleet. But if this is what I think it is, Baker nodded slowly. Go. Take your ship and find out what's sending that signal. I'll inform Earth Command that you're on a special mission. Thank you, sir. After Baker left, Lisa called the bridge. Wilson, set course for these coordinates. Maximum speed. Captain, that's heading away from Earth, Jack replied, confusion in his voice. I know. We're going to find a ghost. 6 hours later, the Defiant raced through the outer solar system. The crew was tense, aware that they had left Earth's final defense behind. Approaching the signal source, Jack announced. All stop. Full sensor sweep, Lisa ordered. Nothing on sensors, Captain, reported the tactical officer. The signal is getting stronger, Ben said from communications. It's definitely coming from right in front of us, but there's nothing there. Lisa stood from her captain's chair, staring at the empty space on the view screen. Send a hail, standard Alliance frequencies. Channel open. This is Captain Lisa Thompson of the Alliance Frigate Defiant. We are receiving your transmission. Please identify yourself. Silence. Then, slowly, a shimmer appeared in the empty space before them. The shimmer grew, taking shape like a mirage solidifying. The bridge crew gasped. Where empty space had been moments before, a massive warship now hung in the void. Its design was unlike anything in the Alliance or Vex fleets, all sleek lines and strange angles. Despite its size, it seemed to barely register on their sensors, as if it was only partially in normal space. On the hull, Lisa could make out faded lettering, ANS Phantom. Captain, Alex whispered, staring at the view screen. The myth just became real. All weapons ready, Captain. Admiral Walker asked, his voice tense as he stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Invincible. Yes, sir. Though I doubt they'll make much difference, Captain Emma Brown replied honestly. Walker nodded. The remaining Alliance fleet, 12 battleships, 23 cruisers, and a handful of smaller vessels, had formed a defensive line around Earth. It was humanity's last stand. Earth glowed blue and green behind them, beautiful and fragile. Billions of people waited below, watching the skies with fear. Vex fleet approaching, announced the sensor officer. 87 ships detected. Estimated arrival in 10 minutes. Walker looked at the tactical display. The Vex formation was perfect, a wall of warships that would overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. After their victory at Proxima Station, they hadn't even bothered to slow down. Open a channel to all ships, Walker ordered. Channel opens. Sir. Walker took a deep breath. This is Admiral Walker. Today we fight for everything. Our homes, our families, our very existence. We may be outnumbered, but each of you represents the best of humanity. Whatever happens in the next few hours, know that it has been my greatest honor to serve with you. That is all. As the Vex fleet approached, Walker thought about the book of phantom stories in his pocket. He had kept it with him since escaping Proxima. A silly superstition, perhaps, but it gave him comfort. The bridge was silent as everyone watched the enemy approach. The Vex ships were dark purple, almost black, with glowing energy lines running along their hulls. Beautiful and deadly. Sir, the sensor officer suddenly called out. I'm detecting strange energy readings at the edge of the system. More Vex ships? Walker asked, his heart sinking. No, sir. I don't know what it is. The readings don't match anything in our database. A point of light appeared on the tactical display, well behind the Vex fleet. The light grew brighter, forming what looked like a tear in space itself. What am I looking at? Walker demanded. No one had an answer. All eyes were fixed on the main view screen as the tear widened. Something was coming through. A massive ship emerged from the spatial distortion. It was unlike any vessel Walker had ever seen. Sleek and powerful, with a design that seemed both ancient and futuristic at the same time. Magnify, Walker ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The image zoomed in, showing faded markings on the hull of the mystery ship. Walker couldn't believe what he was seeing. Aeon's Phantom, he read aloud. The book in his pocket suddenly felt heavy. Sir, that's impossible, Emma said. The Phantom is just a story. Apparently not, Walker replied, a smile forming on his face for the first time in weeks. The Vex noticed the new arrival too. 3 of their ships broke formation, turning to face the threat behind them. They're powering weapons, reported the tactical officer. The Vex ships fired, their purple energy beams striking the Phantom directly. Everyone on the Alliance bridge held their breath, expecting to see the mystery ship destroyed. Instead, something incredible happened. The Phantom's hull seemed to absorb the energy completely, glowing briefly where the beams struck, but showing no damage. Then the Phantom fired back, a single pulse of blue-white energy that spread out like a wave. When it touched the 3 Vex ships, they simply stopped. Their engines died, their weapons went dark, and they began to drift helplessly. Did you see that? Someone whispered on the bridge. Are we receiving any communications from that ship? Walker asked. No, sir. Nothing on any Alliance frequencies. The remaining Vex ships reacted quickly, half of their fleet turning to face this new threat, while the rest continued toward Earth. They're splitting their forces, Emma noted. This could be our chance. Walker nodded. Send to all ships. Prepare to engage the Vex forces approaching Earth. Let's see what our mystery ally does with the other half. The Phantom didn't wait for the Vex to attack again. It simply vanished, disappearing from sensors completely. Where did it go? Walker demanded. Unknown, sir. It's just gone. 3 seconds later, the Phantom reappeared, directly behind the Vex fleet that had turned to engage it. It teleported, Emma said in awe. That's not possible with any technology we have. The Phantom fired again, this time a series of precise beams that struck key points on 5 Vex ships. The vessels didn't explode. Instead, their weapons and engines shut down one by one. The Vex responded with everything they had, all ships now firing at the Phantom. The mystery ship took the hits, absorbing some and evading others with impossible speed and maneuverability. Sir, the Vex ships are changing formation, said the tactical officer. They're focusing more of their forces on the Phantom. Walker saw the opportunity. Signal all ships. Attack now. Focus on the Vex vessels nearest to Earth. The Alliance fleet surged forward, engaging the portion of the Vex force that was now distracted by the Phantom. For the first time, the battle felt almost even. The Vex were still technologically superior, but they were divided and confused. The Phantom kept appearing and disappearing, striking from unexpected angles and drawing Vex fire away from the Alliance ships. Incoming transmission, called the communications officer. It's from the Defiant. The Defiant survived. Walker was surprised. Put them through. Captain Lisa Thompson's face appeared on screen. She looked exhausted but excited. Admiral Walker, we found it. We found the Phantom. I can see that, Captain, Walker replied with a smile. Care to explain how? Sir, we detected strange signals and followed them to the outer system. The ship just appeared in front of us. Admiral, there's someone on board you need to speak with. The image changed to show an older man with white hair and bright, intelligent eyes. Admiral Walker, the man said. My name is Marcus Reed. I believe you've been looking for my ship. Walker's hand went to the book in his pocket. Engineer Reed, you're supposed to be dead. Reed smiled. Reports of my death were greatly exaggerated. I've been away, working on perfecting my ship. When I detected the Vex entering our system, I knew it was time to return. Your ship is doing things I thought were impossible, Walker said. Quantum displacement drive, Reed explained. It allows the Phantom to partially exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. We can absorb energy, redirect it, or simply shift out of this dimension to avoid damage. Sir, Emma interrupted. The Vex are regrouping. Their flagship is moving into firing position. Reed's expression became serious. Admiral, the Vex flagship carries a super weapon capable of destroying your entire fleet in one shot. We need to coordinate our attack. The Phantom can disable their main weapon, but we'll need your ships to strike at specific points on their hull. Walker nodded. Tell us what to do, Engineer Reed. Captain Thompson is bringing the tactical data now. And Admiral. Yes. Reed smiled again. It's good to be home. As the transmission ended, Walker looked out at the battle. The Phantom was moving into position, preparing to take on the Vex flagship directly. For the first time since the war began, Walker felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. The Defiant raced through the chaos of battle, dodging Vex fire as it approached the Alliance flagship Invincible. Captain Lisa Thompson stood on the bridge, watching the Phantom move with impossible grace through the Vex fleet. The legendary ship phased in and out of normal space, striking and vanishing before the enemy could respond. Docking procedure complete, Jack Wilson reported as the Defiant connected to the Invincible. Good. Morgan, Miller, you're with me, Lisa ordered. Wilson, maintain battle readiness. We might need to leave in a hurry. The small group hurried through the connecting tunnel to the Invincible. Admiral Walker was waiting for them when they arrived. Captain Thompson, Walker greeted her. I understand you've brought a ghost with you. Behind Lisa stood an older man with bright eyes and a confident smile. Though his hair was white and his face lined with age, he carried himself with energy and purpose. Admiral Walker, this is Engineer Marcus Reed, Lisa said. Walker stared for a moment, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn book. I've been collecting stories about you and your ship for 30 years. Reed laughed. May I see that? He flipped through the pages. Some of these are actually true. Others. He shook his head. Quite imaginative. How are you alive? Walker asked bluntly. You disappeared 60 years ago. Time works differently where I've been, Reed explained. For me, it's been just under 20 years. A loud explosion rocked the ship. Through the viewport, they could see the Phantom firing on 3 Vex cruisers simultaneously. Who's piloting your ship? Walker asked. My crew, Reed said. 8 of the best pilots and engineers humanity has ever produced. We've been traveling, learning, improving the Phantom systems. Sir, interrupted a communications officer. The Vex flagship is moving into firing position. Energy readings are off the charts. Reed's expression became serious. We need to move quickly. Their main weapon can tear through an entire fleet, but it has a weakness. He spread a data tablet on the command table, showing detailed scans of the Vex flagship. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Alliance vessel. My ship has been gathering intelligence on the Vex for years, Reed explained. Their flagship generates power through these 6 nodes. He pointed to glowing points on the ship's hull. They're normally protected by phase shields, but when they fire their main weapon, the shields briefly align to channel the energy. That creates a vulnerability, Walker realized. Exactly. But only for about 3 seconds, and only if you know exactly where to hit. Can the Phantom take out all 6 nodes? Asked Emma Brown, the Invincible's captain. Reed shook his head. Not in the time available. We need a coordinated attack. The Phantom can disable their phase shields, but we'll need precision strikes from multiple Alliance ships. Walker studied the data. We can do it. Captain Brown, send this targeting data to our 6 best gunships. There's another problem, Reed said. I need to be on the Phantom to coordinate the attack. Then let's get you back there, Walker said. Another explosion, much closer this time. The entire ship shuddered. Direct hit on decks 7 through 9. Someone shouted. Docking bay is damaged, reported another officer. The Defiant can't launch. Lisa looked at Reed. How do we get you back to your ship? Reed smiled mysteriously. The Phantom isn't just a ship. It's an extension of my mind. He touched a small device on his wrist. I can call it Outside the viewport, the Phantom suddenly changed course, heading directly toward the Invincible. "What is it doing?" Walker asked, alarmed. "Creating a temporary phase corridor," Reed said. "It's complicated, but basically for a few seconds, there will be a direct dimensional pathway between this room and the Phantom's bridge." The air in the command center began to shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Captain Thompson," Reed said, turning to Lisa, "your crew has proven themselves exceptional. I need skilled Alliance officers who understand current tactical systems. Will you and your officers join me on the Phantom?" Lisa looked at Walker, who nodded. "Go. We need every advantage we can get." "Yes, sir," Lisa replied. She turned to Alex and Ben. "You heard the man. We're joining the crew of a myth." The shimmering air formed into what looked like a tunnel of light. "Quickly now," Reed urged. "The corridor is unstable." Reed stepped into the light and vanished. Lisa, Alex, and Ben followed. The strange tunnel closed behind them. They found themselves on the bridge of the Phantom. It was nothing like an Alliance vessel. More spacious, with controls that seemed to float in the air and screens that appeared and disappeared as needed. 8 crew members worked at various stations, all of them appearing younger than Reed despite being original crew members who disappeared decades ago. "Time dilation," Reed explained, noticing Lisa's confusion. "Where we've been, time passes much more slowly than in normal space." "And where exactly was that?" Lisa asked. "A pocket dimension I discovered by accident during our first test run," Reed said, moving to what appeared to be the captain's position. "We couldn't return at first. It took years to modify the drives to allow controlled passage." "So you've been watching us all this time?" Alex asked. "Yes, appearing occasionally to gather information when needed. The Phantom can observe normal space while remaining out of phase." "You've been studying the Vex," Ben realized. Reed nodded. "They've attacked 17 other species before reaching humans. They follow the same pattern every time. I've documented their weaknesses, their tactics, their technology." "Why wait until now to help?" Lisa asked. Reed's expression darkened. "The drive system is unstable. Each time we fully enter normal space, the risk increases. This might be our last transit." "You're risking everything to save Earth," Lisa said. "It's my home too," Reed replied simply. Then he turned to his crew. "Battle stations. The Vex flagship is preparing to fire." Through the viewports, Lisa could see the massive Vex vessel. Its forward section was opening like a blooming flower, revealing a pulsing core of purple energy. "Their main weapon," Reed explained. "It converts matter to energy, then releases it as a concentrated beam. Nothing in the Alliance fleet can withstand it." The Phantom moved with incredible speed, positioning itself directly between the Vex flagship and Earth. "Are you insane?" Lisa asked. "You'll be destroyed." Reed smiled. "The Phantom exists partially outside normal space. We can absorb the energy. But only once, and not completely." He opened a channel to the Alliance fleet. "Admiral Walker, we're going to absorb their first shot. The moment they fire, their nodes will be vulnerable for exactly 3.2 seconds. Your ships must hit all 6 simultaneously." "Understood," Walker replied. "All ships are in position." The Vex weapon glowed brighter. Energy gathered at its center. "Brace for impact," Reed warned. The Phantom's hull began to shimmer with a blue-white light. Strange symbols appeared on all the control panels. "Quantum displacement at maximum," reported one of Reed's crew. The Vex weapon fired. The beam of purple energy struck the Phantom head-on. The ship shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared, but it held. The Phantom's hull absorbed the energy, glowing brighter and brighter until it was painful to look at. "Alliance ships, fire now," Reed ordered. Through the glare, Lisa could see 6 Alliance fighters launch missiles at the Vex flagship. Each missile struck a different power node. The massive Vex vessel shuddered. Explosions rippled across its surface. "Did it work?" Lisa asked. Reed checked his displays. 5 nodes destroyed, 1 still functional. He looked grim. They can still fire again, at reduced power. The Phantom was damaged. Smoke filled parts of the bridge. Several control panels had gone dark. Can we take another hit? Lisa asked. Reed shook his head. No, but we can end this. He looked at her. Captain Thompson, I'm about to show you the Phantom's full capabilities. The Phantom wasn't built just to fight. Engineer Marcus Reed explained as his hands moved across the floating control panels. It was designed to change the rules of war completely. Captain Lisa Thompson watched in amazement as new systems came online. The damaged bridge seemed to repair itself, broken panels reforming and darkened screens lighting up again. How is this possible? She asked. Quantum rebuilding, Reed said. The ship remembers its proper state and can partially restore itself. Through the viewport, Lisa could see the Vex flagship preparing to fire again. Even with 5 of its 6 power nodes destroyed, the remaining 1 glowed with dangerous energy. Admiral Walker, Reed called over the communication system. I'm sending you technical data. It's everything we know about Vex ships, their weaknesses, their systems, their tactical patterns. What are you planning, Reed? Walker's voice came back, concerned. The Phantom is going to end this, Admiral, but I need your remaining ships to protect Earth in case we fail. Reed looked at Lisa and her officers, then Miller and Alex Morgan, who were now standing at stations on the Phantom's bridge. I won't lie to you. What I'm about to do is dangerous. If you want to return to the Alliance fleet, now is the time. Lisa straightened her uniform. We're staying. Ben and Alex nodded in agreement. Reed smiled. Good. Because I need Alliance officers who understand current tactical systems. He pointed to specific stations. Take these positions. When I give the word, execute the commands exactly as they appear. The engineer turned to his original crew. It's been an honor serving with all of you. Phase drive to maximum power. Phase drive responding, reported a woman at the engine controls. But sir, the containment field is damaged. We can't safely go beyond 80% power. We need 100%, Reed said firmly. I'll handle the containment issues manually. Before anyone could object, Reed moved to a sealed door at the back of the bridge. Captain Thompson, you have command of tactical systems. When the Vex flagship opens its weapon ports, you'll see targeting solutions appear. Hit them precisely in the order they come up. Where are you going? Lisa asked. To the phase core. The containment field needs direct adjustment. Reed's expression was determined. When this is over, make sure Walker gets all our data. Humanity will need it to rebuild. The door closed behind him. One of Reed's original crew, a tall man with dark hair, moved to Lisa's side. I'm David, tactical officer, he introduced himself. The phase core is dangerous when damaged. What he's doing. Will it work? Lisa asked. David nodded. Yes, but the price is high. The ship hummed with increasing power. Through the viewport, Lisa could see the space around the Phantom beginning to bend and distort. The Vex flagship is opening weapon ports. Ben called out. On Lisa's tactical screen, a series of points appeared, highlighting specific locations on the Vex vessel. They weren't just weapon ports, but junctions, power relays, and command nodes. Target locked, Lisa reported. Ready to fire on your command, Mr. David. Not yet, David said, watching his own displays. The phase drive needs to reach critical threshold first. The Phantom shuddered as energy built up inside it. Warning symbols flashed across several screens. Core containment at critical levels, reported the engine officer. Engineer Reed is manually managing the field, but it won't hold much longer. The Vex are firing. Alex shouted. The enemy flagship released another beam of purple energy, smaller than before, but still powerful enough to destroy any normal ship. Now, David ordered. Lisa pressed the firing control. The Phantom released not a beam or missile, but a wave of blue-white energy that spread outward like ripples in water. When it touched the Vex energy beam, something incredible happened. The beam bent, turned, and flowed back toward the Vex ship. At the same time, the Phantom fired precise beams at each of the targets on Lisa's screen. The beams didn't cause explosions, but instead seemed to pass through the Vex ship's hull like it wasn't there. What just happened? Lisa asked, amazed. Phase inversion, David explained. We turn their energy against them while targeting their phase systems with our own beams. Their shields exist partly out of normal space, just like ours. We just pushed their systems fully into another dimension. The Vex flagship drifted, its lights flickering. The energy of its own weapon had been redirected into its hull, causing massive internal damage. The precise targeting had disabled its ability to exist partly out of phase, leaving it vulnerable. All Alliance ships, attack the Vex flagship now. Lisa ordered. The remaining Alliance vessels launched everything they had at the crippled enemy ship. This time, their weapons caused real damage. Explosions bloomed across the massive hull. The other Vex ships seemed confused, their perfect formation breaking apart as their flagship burned. They're retreating. Ben called out. The Vex fleet is jumping out of the system. One by one, the Vex ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving their flagship behind. The massive vessel broke apart under continued Alliance fire, finally exploding in a spectacular purple fireball. Cheers erupted across the communication channels. Earth was saved. But on the Phantom, there was no celebration. Engine core breach imminent, reported the engine officer, her voice tight with concern. Containment field failing. Where's Engineer Reed? Lisa demanded. Still in the core room, David said. He's holding the field together manually. But a voice came over the internal comm system. It was Reed, sounding tired but calm. Captain Thompson, the phase drive is destabilizing. I've locked myself in the core room to contain the reaction, but the ship needs to leave normal space immediately. We'll evacuate you first, Lisa insisted. No time, Reed replied. Listen carefully. I'm transferring core command to your station. When I give the word, activate the emergency phase jump. The ship will return to the pocket dimension. But you'll be trapped in there, Lisa realized. Better than the alternative, Reed said. The pocket dimension will contain the explosion. Otherwise, it could take out half the solar system. Lisa looked at David, who nodded sadly, confirming Reed's assessment. The technical data has been transmitted to Admiral Walker, Reed continued. Everything we know about the Phantom systems, the Vex, and the phase technology. Humanity can rebuild from here. Is there no other way? Lisa asked. No, but don't mourn too much, Captain. I've lived longer than anyone expected already. Reed's voice became urgent. Core breach in 30 seconds. You need to activate the jump now. With a heavy heart, Lisa pressed the control Reed had indicated. The ship hummed as the phase drive powered up one last time. It's been an honor, Engineer Reed, she said. The honor was mine, Captain. Now, take your officers and go. The emergency pods can return you to the Alliance fleet. Lisa, Ben, and Alex raced to the escape pods as the original crew prepared the ship for its final jump. As their pod launched, they could see the Phantom beginning to shimmer and fade. Through the viewport, Lisa watched the legendary ship grow transparent, then disappear completely, just as it had in all the stories. 3 days later, Admiral Walker stood before the Alliance Council on Earth. The room was packed with military officers, government officials, and media. The Vex have been defeated, Walker announced. Their first major defeat in known space. And we have Engineer Marcus Reed and the crew of the Phantom to thank for it. He held up a data tablet. Before his sacrifice, Reed transmitted everything. The secrets of phase technology, the weaknesses of the Vex, and the complete plans for the Phantom itself. Lisa Thompson sat in the front row, listening. She wore a new uniform with captain's insignia. Beside her were Ben Miller and Alex Morgan, both promoted for their role in the battle. Captain Thompson, Walker said, please join me. Lisa walked to the podium. Engineer Reed's sacrifice will not be forgotten, Walker continued, and his work will continue. The Alliance Council has approved Project Legacy, the construction of a new class of phase ships based on the Phantom's design. He turned to Lisa. Captain Thompson, in recognition of your experience with phase technology, you are hereby appointed as the commander of the first new vessel. The audience applauded as Walker handed Lisa a small insignia pin shaped like the Phantom. The ANS Reed will be ready for its first test flight in 6 months, Walker said. And this time, we're not just defending our home. We're taking the fight to the Vex. Lisa looked out at the crowd, then up at the sky visible through the chamber's glass dome. Somewhere out there, in a pocket of folded space, the Phantom still existed, a myth no longer, but a legend that had changed everything. And perhaps someday they would find a way to bring Marcus Reed home.